A Light Within Darkness Chapter 80, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. You know. Maybe I should have just stayed home and drank the hentai elf goddess's titty milk. I thought as the sky itself seemed to split into itself. See, Khorne wasn't one for magic. Literally hated it beyond all things, really, so instead of doing like the other chaos gods when they get pissed and basically vore the world into the warp via some super powerful warp fuckery, Khorne didn't do that. Across the entire planet of Armageddon, a pitch-black shadow formed, and from within the shadow came details of it. Armored black scales covered it, and I realized that the massive shadow over the world was literally a fucking massive hand that was enclosing the entire planet. The world shuddered as its atmosphere was so violently disturbed, and then it even more harshly shuddered as the armored hand grabbed the world and the natural red atmosphere darkened with the chaotic taint of Khorne's own blood-red realm, and I realized what Khorne was doing. He was literally dragging the entire fucking planet to hell to find out what had happened to his champion to cut off his connection to him. Because it's not like death was an end to Ongron with how Khorne owned his soul and essence. Already the world was being pulled into the warp due to the blood god's fury, and as I looked at the hive world, I quickly realized all the poor lives here were utterly fucked. Welp, time to go home, I said to myself without shame. While I looked around, I realized that Khorne was pulling the planet directly to the warp portion of his own realm, not just the base warp reflection of real space. And already I could see all the ships that tried to flee, be they human or even orc, exploding as they came to the seemingly hardened atmosphere that Khorne was using to keep the planet together during its transportation. For a moment, I considered if I should try to use my own ship to flee using its spatial skipping nonsense. But I didn't want Khorne to pay attention directly to me, as actually managing to escape the planet would most definitely get his attention. Shit. Looks like I am in for it, for the long haul. I muttered, sighing as I looked down deeper into the hive city that was still engaged in its orgy of blood and violence as humans, orcs and the world eaters fought to the death. Idly, I wondered how the last hive world I previously lived in was currently doing, before shaking my head, and I shrugged, and looked upwards toward the tallest spire of the hive city. The governor's tower, that still looked to be in decent condition beyond some battle scars that pockmarked its stupidly well-armored form from munitions, managed to get past its energy shielding. Fuck it. Might as well go looting, I said finally, as I knew just standing around wasn't going to do me any good. So I carefully made my way across the hive city, hopping and gliding between spires as my body was in a rough shape after channeling those powerful techniques in the Bodhisvata as well as the Yin-Yang temporal seal. Both techniques were beyond what I could naturally do by far, and even if I had an external means of getting the energy to use them, that didn't change the fact that I had to channel that excessive energy through my body, which wasn't nearly durable to enough to channel so much more energy than I was naturally capable of producing and outputting. Now, if I was a fat bastard who lived like the most spoiled and extravagant of all swine in the multiverse, where would I hide that which I considered to be treasure? I muttered as I came up to the governor's palace door after I had to break directly into the spire due to no openings being open into the massive structure. Just the governor's palace for his hive building was like if you combined the Burj Khalifa tower shape with the Taj Mahal's opulent castle and mansion design. And the building itself was bigger than both buildings put together, so I literally was lost as hell trying to think where the goodies were. But the biggest was what was in front of me. The fucking 5-meter thick and 5-meter wide oromite thick door. Where the fuck did this asshole get so much damned oromite? I cursed in exasperation as I saw the black splotches across the golden vault door that sealed the governor's quarters, with the rest of the building covered in energy shields that would likely last fucking years with how these overly rich people cared entirely too much for their lives. I mean, oromite was the material that the Emperor of Mankind had his own armor and weapons made out of, along with the custodes' armor and some of their weapons. It was stupidly valuable for being literally incorruptible by chaos, easily carrying exotic energies like the Emperor's essence to be anathema to demons, and was just stupidly durable in general. Hence, the black splotches that I could see were from orcs and world eaters alike trying very unsuccessfully to break into the governor's palace. Actually, it was literally a crime punishable by death if inquisitors found out you had a store of oromite and didn't turn it over to Imperium officials to be recorded, as the total amount of custodes there could be. This was also reflected in the oromite that the Imperial Palace had in store, so they could be properly armed and armored. So I had no delusion of breaking through the door. But an evil smile crossed my face as I chuckled like a fucking goblin as I skipped over to the beautiful door that I almost kissed, said door at the pure joy at the find. Just because I couldn't break the door, nor force it open. That didn't mean I couldn't just steal the literal door itself. The door was just a large gear that had been rolled over to seal the space in which the major opening was. A lot like one of the vault doors in Fallout games, actually. So with it being a freestanding gear, I laid my hands on it, and with my consciousness attached to my large space bag, I just shifted the door from in front of me into my spatially expanded bag, leaving a gaping hole where the large door was. Now normally, I wasn't much a thief or whatever, but when I came into the governor's palace and saw how the fucking floor was inlaid with fist-sized gems, the tiles being spiritually attuned stones that sang to my senses. Not to mention how the tile trimming was imperial gold that was also spiritually blessed. I realized the governor had too much wealth. Viva la revolution. Redistribute the country's wealth. All to me, in fact. And that was just the damned floor.